So today we need to start regarding that hooks. Okay, ReactJS hooks. Okay, so the basically so till now we have seen the code in the, like class based component. Okay, and as well as we've seen that functional component also. But so in the React.js we have some things, okay, called hooks, we can say. Okay, so before that we need to see regarding that before, sorry, yeah, so before React 16.8 version, six, before React 16.8 version, okay, so if you want, like if you wanted to component to have the state, okay, or if you want to respond to the lifecycle events, so then lifecycle events called a component did mount and the component did update, component did update. Okay, so the thing is like before the React 16.8 version, okay, so if you wanted to component to have a state or respond to the lifecycle event, okay, these are the lifecycle event for the class component. Okay, like the you had to use that in the class based component only. But the class based components comes with some complexity. Okay, so these are in basically the class based component. Okay, the thing is like, so basically, yeah, so basically the class based component comes with some complexity to manage the context. Okay, the thing is like the complexity in managing this context. So this is the first complexity we can say in the class component. And there is a thing is like handling the state and life cycle events is too much complex. Handling the state and the life cycle events. I think last class we have seen that lifecycle method. So we have so many things in the mounting. We have the constructor, super, and get your state from props and component did mount in. Okay, in the update, we have seen that should component update and that render and component did update. And third one that there is an unmount. So there we have seen that component will unmount. Okay, so these are the things we have seen in the class based component. Okay, the basically we have like we face some complexity with the class component. There is managing the context and that handling the state and the lifecycle events. Okay, so for that thing, so React introduced after the 16.8 version called the React hooks. Okay, so basically what brings the React hooks? Basically the thing is like the React introduced the hooks to bring the state and life cycle method, life cycle features, we can say, into the functional component. Okay, so making them as a powerful and concise way. So after 16.8 version, that React hook was introduced. Okay, so here we are able to see that state and life cycle features into the functional component. Okay, so then what is hooks actually? Then what are the hooks? Okay, so the thing is like the simple, okay, the hooks are basically, we can say, it's a plain JavaScript function. So basically the hooks are the plain JavaScript function. Okay, oh, here we have seen that state and life cycle. Okay, the thing is like the hooks are plain JavaScript function, and basically that allows you to that hooks into the React feature called state and life cycle. And that basically the one more thing, okay, always start with the prefix use in the hooks. The hooks basically always start with the prefix use. Okay, so for example you can say there is a use state and use effect. So this kind of the hooks we can see in the functional component. Okay, so basically that react hooks the before 16.8 version. So if you wanted to component to have a state and respond to the lifecycle method called component did mount and component did update, like you had to use the class based component. Okay, but the class based component comes with some complexities to managing the state and managing that handling the state and the lifecycle methods in the sense it's event. Okay, so after that thing the react got one solution regarding the hooks. After 16.8 version the hooks got introduced. Okay, here we can see that it brings the react hooks brings the state and lifecycle features into the functional component, making it powerful and concise way to write the things. Okay, so then we have seen that what are the hooks. So basically the hooks are the plain javascript function, and so basically here we are able to use that state and lifecycle method. And basically that hooks we need to always start with the prefix as a use. Suppose right now these are the by defaults hooks from the react. Suppose if you want to create the custom hooks, then your prefix start with the use. Okay, so these are the things we can say. And so by like the react provides some by default hooks called, there is a use state, use effect, and use reducer, and that use context. Okay, and use context and use memo and use ref. So these are the main basic thing we need to know. There is one more thing that use callback. Okay, so these are the main basic hooks from the react hooks. Okay, use state, yeah, use effect, and use reducer, and use context, and use memo, and use ref, and use callback. Okay, we'll see the meaning of those hooks. Okay, the first thing, okay, 1 minute. So the first thing we will see what will happen without the hook. So suppose right now we have seen that use effect like use state hook. Okay, but we'll see what will happen in the functional component without hooks. Okay, in this thing I'll use the stack bits for the coding purpose. So here I'll create a new project, front-end React. Okay, so this is our app.jsx. Okay, so here I will do one thing. Here I will erase unwanted things. Okay, so I'll create one folder, like one file called the counter.js. So here I'll import the react from react. Okay, so now I will create the function that is a counter. Okay, and here I will return the JSX. Okay, JSX similar to the HTML kind of thing. Okay, there is a div. So here I need a one button, okay, to increase my count. And apart from that thing, I need one count actually. Okay, so I'll make it as a hard coded as a 0. Okay, so when I click on the button, this count should be the increase by 1. Okay, so without hooks, okay, we'll do something like using the function. Okay, so before that I will export this component counter. Okay, so here I will use event the on click. Okay, here I will add that function name, and here I will create the function name. There is function and increase increase and yeah. The thing is, like, before that I have to initialize one count as a 0, count equal to 0. Then so here I need to make the count plus plus. Okay, and instead of the hard coded, I will add that count. Okay, so after this I need to import this component into the app.jsx here. Counter. Okay, so here is the counter, the 0. So console.log, and I will check the count. Okay, here okay. Okay, the thing is, like, so I'm consoling something. Okay, so in the consoling we are able to see that its number is increased by 1, but in this thing we are not able to update the number in the screen, in this screen. So basically, when you click on the button, UI does not update because of React is not aware about the count change. Okay, so here you can see, so I updated the initial count here, but we are not able to see that in UI, but we are able to see in the console. So here the hooks will be entered. Basically the hooks like that use state to solve this by telling the React when to re-render the component. Okay, so here we can see there is a useState. So basically useState, we are using the managing the state in the functional component. Okay, so basically this useState allows you to add the state to the functional component. So right now here we are using, it's a not a hooks, just we are using the initialize the value, but we are not able to update that in the UI. In this thing you can see we are not able to update in the UI. Why? Because so the thing is like that React is not aware about that component change. Okay, for that thing, so like React introduced one hook called useState. Okay, it's always it's always you to add that uh, add the state to the functional component. Suppose if you want to add, like, suppose if you want to update something, if you want to store something. Okay, so we'll create the state for the counter. So this is the state and this is the set state. Okay, and here I will use that use state. Make sure that one thing, okay, the one thing, so basically when you write the state like hooks, okay, you should know is it imported or not. Make sure that thing, okay. So basically I'll copy and paste here and let's, okay, so here we need to add the initial value, okay. So basically this current means like this state means we can say it's a current value, and the set state means it's a function to update the state. It's a function to update the state, and this is the initial value. Initial value means it's an initial state value, we can say initial state value, okay. The thing is like, so we need to define the state like this, okay. Const state set state, and we have to define like call that use state. Inside that we have to add that initial value, okay. So in the state you can use any name, okay. Here also you can use any name, not a particular set and set state, okay. The thing is like, you need to know, so what is the state and what is the this thing. So first thing it's a value, second thing is this function, okay. Yeah, so here will come, and the thing is like, here we'll create the state, current value is the count, and the function is the set count, okay. So by default I will add the 0, okay. So I will do one thing, okay. So in this increase, okay, in this increase, okay, so I need to set this count in this function. So basically I'll use that set count, okay, set count, okay, that count is +1, okay. So we'll see what happened in the, yeah. So now we are able to see in the UI that the count update using that use state hooks. How it works in the sense, so basically that use state, like use state with that initial value, it sets the initial count to the 0. Basically it sets the initial count to 0, okay. So after clicking the button calls, okay, so that increase function will call, okay. Here it will update the state count +1, and the React re-render the component with the new count. Here it will update with new count, we can say, okay. The thing is like, so here you can see the first step, the use state of initial value at the 0. So basically it sets the initial count is the count to the 0, okay. And the second point, so clicking the button calls, it will set count, and it are updating the state, And third thing, basically that React re-renders the component with the new state, new count, you can say, okay. So here you can see the first thing that sets the initial count is 0, and after that after clicking the button, it called this function increase. In this thing the set count will update with a new state. Okay, update with the new state. And third thing, that it will re-render the component with the new count. So here you can see. Okay, there is a real life scenario. Think there is a shopping cart in like in an e-commerce app. Okay, so there is a shopping cart. Just imagine there is like think of the shopping cart in an e-commerce app. Each time you click to the add to cart, the number of items update. So this we can take as the real type scenario for this counter. Okay, for example I can see in that Amazon here. So in this cart, okay, so like you guys are able to see that count actually. So here the number of items the number of items update we can say in the add to cart. So when you click on the add to cart, the number of items it updates actually. Okay, yeah, so this is regarding the use state. Okay, so basically that use state, it's managing the state in the functional component. Okay, and here we can see there is a like state and set state. Basically it's yeah, state and set state. And here we are calling that use state. We make sure that use state should be the imported. Okay, and the state we can say it's a current value, and set state we can say it's a function to update the state. And basically that set state is the function. Okay, and this is the, we can say it's an initial value. You can add any array, any like any number, any string. Okay, so any type or any data type you can add the things here. Okay, yeah, the next thing we can see regarding that use effect. Use effect. Okay, so we are using the use effect to handling the side effects. Side effects. What are the side effects in the sense? So there is a API calling, timer. Okay, updating the DOM. So these are the things we can say it's the side effects. Okay, the thing is like first thing we can say it's a fetching the API, and the second thing we can say it's a timers, and third thing we can say it's updating the DOM. Okay, so we can use the syntax called, there is a use effect. Okay, we need to add that callback function. So in this thing here we need to add that dependency array. This is the dependency array, and here we need to close the that use effect. So basically this use effect runs the function after every render if dependencies changes. Okay, the thing is like basically dependency array in the sense, so if we don't have the dependencies, suppose if we don't have the dependencies, it will runs the only on mounting without dependencies, so without any state in this array. So here we can say this is the 1 minute, yeah, this is the empty Yeah, this is the mounting phase. Okay, suppose if you want to update the dependencies here, dependencies, so then here we can say it's updating, we can say. Suppose you can see there is, suppose instead of for example you can take, so here we have defined that count and set count. Suppose if we add instead of dependency as the count, like a specific variable, so we need to add the only current value, not a function. Okay, so we need to add the only count like current value. So the thing is like it runs basically if I update the count here in the dependency array, okay, it will runs when the count changes only. Okay, yeah. And the third scenario, suppose if we don't have this array, so what will happen? The thing is like it will runs after every render, means it will call unnecessary things. Actually it will calling and calling again and again like uh, indefinite. Okay, so basically that use effect we can say it's handling the side effects. Okay, and so use effect use it for the side effect like that's fetching the API and timer and updating the DOM. And the thing is like basically this use effects we are using, so in the in class based component you can see. Okay, so we are using that component did mount and component did update and component will unmount. So these are the, we can say it's a life cycle methods. Okay, so the all the life cycle methods we can see in the only hooks. There is only one hooks, we can see all the three phases of the life cycle in this hooks actually. Okay, there's a mounting, updating and unmounting. Okay, so before that we'll do one code for the use effect to make the API call. Okay, there is an API call. Okay, JS X. Okay, so here I will import React first from the React. Okay, so then I'll create the component. There is a function that is a function name is the API call. Okay, so here I will return return the JSX, and here I will export the component called API call. Okay, the thing is like we need to we need to call the API. Okay, for that thing we need the API the API link. Okay, so we will take that API link from the fake JSON API. So we have some dummy APIs. We can take those APIs, we can iterate. Okay, so for example I will take these users. Okay, so I will copy this one and I will paste here, for example. Okay, so now I have to create the use effect here. This is the use effect, and make sure that use effect is imported or not. Okay, and now we need to add the callback, and we need to and also we need to initialize that dependency array. Okay, and so in the use effect we need to fetch the API. So there is a fetch keyword. Okay, we need to use. So here we need to paste this API link. Okay, So here basically this is a promise. Fetch is from the promise to handle the asynchronous operations. Okay, suppose in this like in this API, so there is a there's a 10 details actually. Okay, yeah, there is a 10 details, id 1, id 2 and id 3 up to id 10. Okay, the each id has some the name, username, email, address and phone, website and company. The same thing I will show you in the Amazon or Flipkart. So inspect and the network, I will not here, I will Flipkart. Yeah, so like the every company, even e-commerce, even product based, even service based, okay, all the companies, like for the any projects, the JSON is a very important, that API is a very important. So we need to we need to get the API like this actually. So just we are like getting the response. Okay, so in this response we are able to see that country name and country, that country short name and local and country telephone, phone code. So we have so many APIs in one project. So right now, so we are using the only one API regarding that users. So for example, you can see here in this we have the post for this different API, and that comments for the different API, that album for the different APIs. So in every project, so we have n numbers of APIs. So for example, here you can see, just you can take an example and not a real time scenario. Thing is like basically, yeah. So this is the this is the kilos. Okay, for, like you can think the kilos for the separate JSON, for the mobile for the separate JSON. We'll see on click on mobiles what we will get in the output, like in the response. On click. Switch, check the value. So we are not getting the exact dates. 1 minute, I will remove these things. Yeah, something I got actually. No, I will see later. Okay, the thing is like right now we are using this users API. Okay, so users API contains that ID, name, username, email, address, phone, website and company. Okay, so we need to iterate all the that our names, username, email and phone and website. Okay, so in this thing, so right now we are using the fetch. So fetch is the promises. Okay, it's basically we are handling the asynchronous operations. Okay, for that thing we are using the that promises. Okay, so here we need a response. Okay, so this is the API, and this API will fetch from the fetch keyword, but we need these name, ID, username, email. For that thing we need to use that then. Okay, so in this thing we can add, there is a response. Okay, there is a response, and we need to store that the response.json, and yeah, response.json dot, then we need to add the data is equal to set. Yeah, put that console.log data. Okay, so we'll see once this console.log data. So I'll import this thing inside that API call. Okay, so in this thing, okay, the thing is like, so we are able to see in the console. Okay, so these are the 10 datas. Okay, there is a 10 datas. The first thing you can see, there is a address, a company, an email ID, a name, phone, user, and website. Okay, so we have fetched the that API link using the fetch keyword for the responsing we are then. Okay, the thing is like, basically we are getting in the console, but we need to update in this thing actually, in the UI. So what should I do? The first thing, I want to store this all the data into the state. We need a state actually. So what we have did in the counter task, so when I click on the increase, that number will be increased. Okay, for that thing I have used that useState. Yeah, so we have stored in the useState something initial value, it's 1. Updating, like for the updating purpose, so we have added that count plus 1. But same thing, so we are getting data in this thing actually, but I want to update this data into the state. Okay, for that thing I'll use the const users and set users. Okay, I'll use the useState. Make sure that useState are inputted or not. Okay, so here yeah, so basically we need to check the type of data. Yeah, so basically it's an array. Okay, so it's an array of object. Okay, this array of object. Okay, so for that thing here we need to store initialize the empty array. Okay, and that here I will remove that console.log and I will set users and I will set the data here in this users. Okay, so now I will check what are the things coming in the users. Okay, we'll see. So right now it's coming like object. 1 minute. Yeah, so the thing is like, so we need to update in the UI. For that thing we need to iterate. Okay, so I will do thing, there is UL I will take, and I will use that map method, array method. There is a map methods. Okay, I'll use, there is a users dot map. Okay, and there is a user, and here I'll use that li. Okay, so here I will use that user dot name. We'll see in the UI. Okay, so now 1 minute, I'll remove that I'll remove this counter. Okay, yeah, so here you can see we are able to see in the UI all the 10 all the 10 that names from this API, that users API. So what are the names like Leningram, the first thing. The second thing, what we got, there is the Erwin Howell. Yeah, so using the useEffect, so we are able to fetch the API like this. Okay, how it works in the sense, Okay, so when the component mounts, okay, the use effect trigger the API calls. The thing is like, when the component mounts the use effect, this use effect triggers the API calls, this API call. Okay, the fetch data update that user state, this state, and the react re-renders the component showing the user list. Okay, the thing is like, so basically we have seen something regarding that with empty array, and that with array count, okay, and with without that array also. Okay, so right now this is the with empty, like with array with empty dependencies. Okay, that empty array we can say. So here this runs the only mount, like the component did mount. And suppose if I add the count here, suppose if I add the count here, it runs when count changes. Basically it will runs when count changes. The thing is like, so when you calls the API, when you calls the API, we go to the inspect, and you go to the network, okay, refresh, okay, you'll get that all the like your API. So this is your API users. Okay, so in this thing you can see, so in this thing, first thing, there is a header. Okay, so your request URL link, so this is your API link. And you like, basically we are using the get method. So basically in the backend, so we have there is a like there is a RESTful API. Okay, so suppose if you want to get the like the details, so we are just getting the details. So for that thing we are using that request method called get. And yeah, so you guys are able to successfully fetch the APIs. So now suppose if it is successful, then the status code will be the 200. Okay, suppose if the successful API it's 500, then it will, we can say it's a server error. So then we need to ask the backend team, so make need to correct the API, so that the API is like API facing some issue with the error. Okay, so in the response we will get the like we'll get the data. So after fetching the, like in the response we'll get the API, we'll get the data after the fetching. And here it will like it shows the how much time to take to call this API. Okay, so every time, suppose if you call the API, you should observe in the network tab. So is it is it status code 200 or 500 or 400? We have so many things we'll see later. Okay, and we'll check the exact request methods, what it is, either post or get or put or delete. And the request here URL is very important. So what you guys are using the request URL? Okay, yeah, the thing is like, so yeah, so this is the empty, and here we are getting the only the two things. Suppose if I remove the array, what will happen? You can see, so if I remove the array, so that API calling, it's multiple times. You can see. So why this array is important? The array is important for avoiding the multiple API calls. So now I will refresh, you can see. So now it's not calling the multiple times because of So here we have added that like the array, that the empty array in the sense runs only on mount, like component did mount. And suppose if you want to update the count like that users, then you can say that runs when the that users changes. Okay, so do one thing. So basically we have some data. Okay, there is a id, a name, username, email, okay, and that phone number and website. I want to store in the table format. So like this is the thing only we are taking the only list. So I need all the details in the table format. Okay, so we'll do one thing here. So this is the I'll remove the UL, and the thing is like I'll use the table here. This is the table. Okay, so inside table there is a tr. So in th okay, what is the first heading? The first heading is the id. We need to add that id. Okay, and what is the second one? It's the name. Okay, and third thing is the username. Okay, and the third thing, it's a username, and the fourth thing, there is a email. There is email. Okay, and the fifth thing we can say it's a phone. Okay, and sixth thing we can say it's a website. Okay, so now these are the headings. So when I need to update all the details in this thing actually, for that thing, so I'll use, there is a tr. 1 minute. This is a tr. 1 minute. Something went wrong. We'll see. Use, okay, the users dot map users. Okay, so here I use the tr. Okay, so in this thing we need to use the td. td 6 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so here we need to update. Okay, so here we need to update user.id. So this user we are taking, so this users we are taking from that state, and in that state we have set users, we are updating the data. Okay, so we are checking the id here, so not getting away, so it should get actually. So what we are getting actually here, okay, the name id and that username. Th, okay, we'll see. Okay, so the thing is like we need to make one thing here. So t head, and this is the t body. We can make it as body. Inside this thing we need to add tr and td. Okay, the same thing here, we need to update that user dot name. Okay, so here we'll update that dot dot username. So we need to use exact key. Okay, username, and the next thing user dot email, and next thing we need to use that user dot what we have, the phone, and here we need to use the user dot website. I think website. Okay, we'll see. It's not updating. Okay. So here I have to update that key is equal to that user dot id. What happened? This is the table id. Okay, one minute. Give me some time. I'll use my React. Okay, in this React there is a white project. Close all other, and I'll create here the src. There is an API call API.jsx and API call.jsx. So I'll paste here that code. Yes, and I'll import that code in this thing. API call. Okay, I'll run this code. cd white project npm run dev. Otherwise you need to use that npm start in the port 5173. This is the class component models and .css, where it is and .jsx. So we don't need these things. style is not defined. Okay, style is, we don't need this thing. So this is not printing the table. So did I wrong something? TR. Yeah, this row is correct. Okay, I'll use the thing like yes, we got the thing, and we'll use the border. The border is equal to 1, and cell, the cell padding we need to set up to the 10. Oh, not here. For the table we need to add. Yes. Yep. So now we are able to yeah. So the thing is like here you can see. So now here we are able to make the API calls, and we have iterate those things in the table. Okay, so here you can see. Suppose the thing is like so in this API, so we are taking the data. There is a only ID, name, and username, and email, and phone, and website. Okay, suppose if you want that nested thing, suppose I need this name, actually the company name I need. So what should I do? The thing is like, so here you can mention one thing, the company name. Okay, so here one thing, there is a user dot, what we have here, user dot company dot name. Okay, we'll see what's coming. Yeah, so here we got the company name also. Okay, yeah, hi. Yeah, so basically so here we are able to fetch the API successfully. After that we have iterate those all the things in the table. Okay, so in this API, so right now we are able to see the data, only the ID, name, username, email, and phone, and website. Suppose if we want to see the nested data, so then we have used that user dot company dot names for that thing. So here we are able to see that data in the UI, that company names. So in this thing you can see, so like this is the entire data. In that thing there is a one more object called company. Inside the company there is a name. So this is the basically we are using the use effect to make the API call. Okay, so in this thing, so we are using the fetch keyword to make the API call using like this is the link we are taking from the fake JSON API, and we are like getting the response using the dot then, and we are setting the data that to the this state, and we are iterating the all the data using this current value in this table. So this is the thing we can say it's a use state, like use effect. Okay, so basically use effect we can like we can say it's a like you can say it's a handling the side effects. Okay, and all the things we can see in the use effect. Actually the thing is like that mounting, so we can see that all the mounting and that updating and that unmounting. Okay, so all the things we can see in the use effect. Okay, so the thing is like the basically so I will say, so 1 minute, so component did mount in the sense, so we can see there is a component did mount in the sense, for example this is a use effect, this is a use effect. Okay, so here we need to use that empty array. So this is, we can say it's a this is a class component and this is a functional component called hooks in the mounting phase. Okay, in the updating phase, so we are using that component did update. Okay, so here we are using that use effect. So yeah, so here just we need to use the dependency arrays. So for example I will add the count, and last thing there is the component will mount, component will unmount. Okay, so this is the basically we need to destroy the component, we need to remove basically in the component did mount in the sense we need to add to the DOM, and component did update in the sense we need to update the component, and component will unmount in the sense we need to destroy the component from the DOM. Okay, so here the basically there is the use effect, this is a use effect, and so here we inside the use effect we need to return one callback, return one callback. Okay, so in this thing we can add that empty array also. So this is regarding the unmounting. Okay, that component did update, component did mount, and component will unmount, we can say it's a react like class component, and use effects, and the use effects we can say in the hooks component basically. So basically this thing like this use effect with the empty array, so this runs once when the component mounts. For example you can hear like you can see in this thing, so basically this runs once when the component mounts, and so for example you have seen that API calls, and second thing this is the use effect count. So this is the run every time the value in the dependency array changes. Suppose for example, so suppose if I add the users here, so this use effect will run when huh, that runs every time the value of that value in the dependency array, like this users array changes, we can say. And the third thing, there is a componentWillUnmount. Okay, so in the React hooks there is a use state, and we need to return some cleanup function. Suppose if we have initialized the timer, you should you should that clear the timer also. The thing is, like here we can see the three things. One is the clearing the timer, and one is the removing the event listener, and one we need to canceling the API calls. So we can see in the unmounting. So basically, so all three things we are using the only one component, one hooks called the useEffect hook. So basically, that interviewer will ask you guys like what are the lifecycle methods in the class component and function components. You should explain with thoroughly, with step by step, what will happen in the mounting, what will happen in the updating, what will happen in the unmounting. Okay, and they will compute with regarding that dependencies array. So what we have shown you, without array, and with empty array, and with state empty array, and what will happen in the unmounting. The unmounting in the sense that basically in the use state we can say it's a cleanup function. And some things are there, basically we need to follow some best practices in the use effect. Okay, so the thing is, like first thing we need to always use a dependency array to avoid the unnecessary render. So I have shown you in that network API call. So in this thing where it is inspect and the network, so we have shown that unlimited that unnecessary rendering actually in this API calls. Okay, and this is the first best practice. And second thing, we need to use that cleanup function for the so that clearing the time after removing the event listener and canceling the APIs. Okay, and there is third thing, so we need to split the use effect if you have, suppose if we have the multiple side effects. Suppose if you have the multiple side effects, so then you should split the use effect. Okay, and the fourth thing, so avoid the infinite loop. So avoid the infinite loops in the sense, basically the thing is, like, so never directly modify the state inside the use effect without the dependencies. Okay, so these are the things you need to observe, that use state and like use state and that use effect. Okay, so you can you can try 5 to 10 tasks using the use state. Okay, and you can try to 5 to 10 tasks using the use effect. So then only you can understand that use hooks, like that hooks we can say. So we have so many hooks actually for the different scenarios. Okay, for example, we are like right now we are rendering the only the thing is, like the only data. Suppose Sometime suppose if we have that in that API, suppose like that, like for example, I will show you one thing here. This is the Amazon. This is the API. So the API comes with that images also. So right now in this API we don't have any images, but I will show you one thing. There is an album, not this one, photos. Photos. 1 minute, I will check this URL in this thing. So this is also not there. Posts. So I will share you one API, product API, fake store API, product. Yes, we have the images here. So I'll use this thing, products. In that products, basically images now, title for I have to remove. In this thing I'll add user dot what is this, user dot image. So check what we are getting. Okay, we are getting something images. Okay, we'll add some CSS for these things. Inspect. Okay, inspect. Size width, it's 20 px, and height you can make it as 40 px. Okay, 100 into 100 we can make 70 into height 80. Okay, so I'll use this style in this image. Where it is that image? Yeah, in this image. So here I'll use okay, 1 minute. So that ID we are getting, title we need, title, price, description. Title, So right now we are able to that fetch the that product API. Okay, so product API contains the images also. So we are able to see the images as well. So in the UI. Okay, so you can find some APIs like with product and with some APIs with some static. So you guys are need to fetch the API and store into the something like something look and feel uh, like site. For example, you can take this Amazon. Okay, and you can add some CSS, make it like similar to this, not exactly this, similar to this actually. Okay, just try to fetch the API, and along with that make the make sure that useState and useEffect like you guys are able to work on the particular things. So do I have any doubt on that useState and useEffect? Am I audible? So if we don't have any doubts, so then we'll wrap up the session. We'll see tomorrow. Okay. So please do practice remaining things. We'll see you later. Okay. Okay then bye.